All right, at the end of the last video, I mentioned that I'd show you a helpful technique here when you're right on the edge of something. So a good way to do this, and of course you got to make sure you're on the right layer, is grab something to make a selection like the polygonal lasso tool. And let's say that we were just going to correct this kind of anomaly, and you don't really want to cheat on your work here, so be careful, but this is just a good area to show the example. Back up one step because I don't like where I place that, so I'll hit escape and I'm going to click right there. I want to be right on. You know what? I don't like that either, so I'm going to escape again. I'll just start back a little bit further here so that I can bring this into exactly where I want it. And what I was saying earlier about not wanting to cheat on your work, I mean like in case you get brought into a job interview or something like that. And they ask you to bring the real work and it doesn't look as good as the photographs. Okay, so now once I've completed that with the polygonal lasso tool, a selection is made. And as you know in Photoshop, it's all about what layer you're on, and then furthermore, if you have a selection made, only things can be done inside of that selection. So if I go back, grab the clone stamp tool, and let's say I'm just going to kind of work on this area here. I can make it a little bit bigger. In fact, I'll try doing it like in one fell swoop or maybe two here. But you can see that my cursor is outside of the selected area. And if I just move this in like here and click, I don't bring anything. Well, I should say I could bring it in, but I can't clone stamp outside of that area. So in other words, if I go out here and I option click, I can come in here and click and it would bring that in. But as long as I make a good selection, it will not allow the selection to carry over out here. And you can see when I command D away from this that I still have a nice clean area. And let's say I wanted to clean up just this little spot right here, then I could do it the opposite way. Make a selection around here like that into the dark area, and then I can come along here, option click, and just as long as I keep moving linearly like that, command D, get a nice clone stamp. Keep in mind you do want to save often, and if you haven't saved yet away from, let's say for example you start with a JPEG, you do want to do a save as and select PSD, that's Photoshop document, not a JPEG, not a PDF, but a Photoshop document. If you were lucky enough to have your image taken against a beautiful seamless background, you'd be ready to move on to sharpening up the image. But I'm going to show you how we can turn this into looking a lot like it was a professional photograph. Basically, the trick that we're going to do here is to separate the foreground and the background. So we're going to copy the layer. We're going to make a layer that is just the background, blur it out a little bit so that we get rid of the texture of the paper towel, keep a little bit of the lighting differences that we have here, and then we'll have just the product on top of that. So first thing we're going to do is select this background layer and hit the plus sign here. Nope, sorry. We're going to select that layer and do Command J, which you can remember that shortcut is jump a layer. That makes a copy of it. And on this copy, we will get rid of all of the product in here. We're actually going to erase it, and you'll see why we're not doing a mask or anything like that, why we're just erasing it in a second. Also, it looks like my guides disappeared somewhere between my videos, so I want to bring my guides back out. Oh, no, there they are. Okay, they must have just disappeared from view. Okay, so there we go. So now what we're going to do is just zoom in here. This doesn't have to be a perfect selection. We want to make sure that we are indeed on, and we'll just rename this layer to new BG. This is going to become our new background. And then we could take something like, probably in this case, the polygonal lasso tool, and we want to select just outside of the product. We do not want any of the color of the product against the white in this example of the background. And I don't necessarily have to go around this all in one time. I can just pick certain areas of it, complete my selection, and then hit delete. Why did it appear that the delete key didn't work? Well, because we just saw through this to the background, the original background layer. So if I turn the background layer off, we can see that the delete did actually work. So I'll go ahead and continue doing this with the polygonal lasso tool, making new selections until all of this is gone. I now have a selection around the whole entire rest of the product, and I'll delete that away. Command D to get rid of that selection. And then what we want to do is make sure we have that new background layer still selected. And then we will go ahead with that selected, do Command J again, turn off the copy, go to the original one. And then here we're going to go to view, or I'm sorry, not view, but filter. And we want to go to blur and then Gaussian blur. And then we're going to keep our eye on the background and see just how much we need to turn the radius up to where that background becomes just at the point where it becomes indistinguishable, where you can no longer make out the pattern on there. And if you can't find exactly the right happy medium, you can do a little bit of blurring here and then do the rest with the clone stamp tool to get rid of patterns. But I'm going to try this right here. Click on OK. So there's a start there. Then the next thing we need to do is move the image that used to be called the background on top. So let's actually rename this. We're going to double click on it and we'll call it product or something like that. We'll move that on top of the new background. Let's see, now here you can see what it looks like seeing through the holes in the background, and you can already tell that's better. It makes the product pop out, but we still have some problems here. So what we need to do, get the product on top, just underneath our adjustment layers, and then we're going to mask this product out. And here's a crash course on masking. You're going to select the product layer, and then you're going to click on this icon right here, which adds this mask. Then what you need to do is whatever is white in the mask is visible, and whatever is black in the mask is invisible. So you want to make sure the mask is selected, not the image. Right now the image is selected. Right now the mask is selected. And then you want to set your defaults on your colors over here by clicking on this little icon. Move black up to the top. And now you basically want to paint black or make a selection and change it to black. But I'm just going to go the most basic way of painting black here. So what I'm going to do is grab the lasso tool, get really zoomed in here, and then start making selections. And again, keep in mind that I am on the mask, not the image itself. And just to give you an idea what happens here, I'll just finish this one up. Now I've got black in the front here, so if I hit the command key, or I'm sorry, not command, but the option or alt key and delete, that's a shortcut for filling with this foreground color. And you can see here, and you can see it's kind of transparent, and that has to do with the blur, but we'll fix that in a later step. But just to show you what happened here, this is what's on the mask now. So what I did was I option or alt clicked on the mask just to show you the mask itself. And if I do command D to get rid of that little spot, that's what's on the mask. That's what's allowing us to see through. So let's click back here and then click back into the mask again. And let's continue going around making selections or painting. You can paint as well. That's another way to bring black in here. You can bring out a brush and you can just simply start painting away onto the mask, but you got to have your opacity here all the way up. And you can see as I do that, we are seeing through. And if you really want to get a good idea what's happening here, make yourself a new temporary layer. So click new layer, take this layer, put a color, I don't know, like red or even white would be fine, and do again option delete with that layer selected. And now that layer is all filled in with red. You can't have any other selections made, no selections at all. And then we'll move this below the product, and now we can see exactly what's going on here. And we can see that if we click on the product layer, click inside the mask, and we start deleting or basically painting, it has the same effect as making the selection and filling it in. So now you would do whatever technique you think is best for this. You don't have to get really, really close. Like you don't have to be right on the edge. In fact, you don't want to take any away. And here's the beauty of masking is if you make a mistake, even if you're past being able to do Command Z, all you have to do is flip-flop your colors and now paint with white, and white brings it back. That is the selling point of a mask. So I will pause. I will isolate the entire background away, or paint the entire background away by painting black on the mask itself, and come back. So now you can see that we're seeing through behind the product to the red temporary background, and you can see when you look over here at the mask just exactly what's happening. What is white inside of this mask is what shows on that layer, and what is black does not show and allows us to see through. So let's turn off this layer, see how we're coming along here. You can see there's some little anomalies here right now with the white glow around it, and but a lot of that has to do with the fact that that blur made our background go semi-transparent. So one thing I'm going to do is put a layer behind the background. Well, actually, before I do that, I think the layer of the background got a little bit on the dark side. So let's put a layer adjustment just for our new background. And we'll do that by hitting the create new layer adjustment. We'll go to levels, and let's just crank this something fierce just to make sure it's only affecting that bottom layer. Yeah, and it is. Okay, so we want to put this back in the middle. We want to just give this some more of the whites back in here. Not crazy, but we want to brighten it up a bit. Now keep in mind it's an adjustment layer, so we can go back to it a little bit later on if that's too much, but that's probably not a bad starting point there. Then we need something behind here that is the color of that background to come through. So what we're going to do here is create a new layer right there for now. And let's just fill it with white for right now. So let's, okay, so this is on the bottom background color, so that should be a Command delete to fill with the white. And then let's move that into position. It's just up one too high right now. I don't like the way that's working. So what I'm going to do, even with this background, I tried to even darken the color a little bit. I don't like it. So we're going to try a different technique here. We're going to go into the background layer. We're going to turn off the foreground. So we're just looking at this, and we're going to go in and using either the clone stamp or one of the healing tools. And just to not complicate things, I'll just stick with the same tool. The clone stamp tool will make it bigger. We're going to grab some of the surrounding areas here, and we are just going to option click there and then click into here and just keep on moving up. And basically what we're doing is just surrounding, or not surrounding, but expanding the background area. And just be careful as you do this that you're paying attention, and every now and then resetting the area that you're clicking from. And we just want to do that all the way around, go around and click some more data in there. And while we are doing this, this gives us a chance to fix this area right here where we can see some of our background. So again, same procedure, clone stamp tool, but this time we'll start also clicking not only inwards, but we'll click outwards too. And we're just trying to make this look like a kind of non